All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. Big waves out there. Good to see you. Good to see you. Get them hands going. It'll make you smile. It'll make you smile. Good to see everybody. So before I turn it over to Coach Myra, um, I know we've got quite a few guests joining us this morning, and I just want to remind everybody we do this Coach's Corner Monday through Friday, and just so you know what it's all about. It's really the power of a word. What could a power of one word be? And that's what really we do every day here, Monday through Friday. And so it's not necessarily a company thing. It's not anything other than just great people, birds of a feather, flocking together Monday through Friday to kick their day off on the right track for 15 minutes. And so that's what we do. And we're super grateful, and we love everybody that's part of our community, and we welcome you to be a part. So if you're a guest on here this morning, but today you've got a treat. So I am going to stop and turn it to my partner in crime, Miss Myra Miles.
All right. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Gosh, Brent, thank you so much for opening up for us. And again, we welcome everyone to be a part of our morning. This has become such a phenomenal place for us to all stop in and have a little motivation every morning. And today I'm bringing someone in that we've talked about her coming on for a long time. She's just incredibly busy. She is a very, very accomplished individual, and I'm fortunate to call her friend. She is a tremendous human being. That's how I'm going to sum her up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly read a little bit about Michelle Marciniak. And so I'm going to read quickly. I condensed it as well as I could, but you need to hear everything that I'm going to say about Michelle. Michelle was a member of the 1996 National Championship team at the University of Tennessee. Of course, y'all all know my love and for Pat Summitt, so she was fortunate enough to play for Pat. She was also named the most valuable player on that national championship team. She played for the WNBA Seattle Storm and Portland Fire. She's worked as a color commentator for Fox Sports, ESPN Radio, and for the Lady Vol Radio Network. She coached in the SEC at South Carolina as an assistant for 5 years, and she is the absolute ultimate entrepreneur. Also, just recently, this past basketball season, she was recently named to the NCAA Silver Anniversary Award. So that's a big deal, guys. She's an ultimate entrepreneur. Like I said, she's the co-founder and co-CEO of Sheeks, SHEEX Incorporated, and invented the category of performance fabric bedding and holds numerous patents in bedding, mattresses, and sleepwear. Sheets has been featured in the New York Times, Sports Illustrated, and O Magazine. Michelle also has co-founded Pedal for Alzheimer's and has previously served as a spokesperson for the Pat Summitt Foundation. She's also a Henry Crown Fellow, a member of the Aspen Global Leadership Network, and a strategic advisor for Space for Humanity. So I could really go on, but Michelle is a tremendous person, and I just appreciate her time. And we're gonna kind of shoot some things back and forth at each other. And at the very end, if we have a few minutes, I may get a question or two from everybody out there. But Michelle, I know you're on, but I can't see you. So can we set the view screen to be just Michelle, guys? There she is. Good morning.
Hello. Good. Hi.
Hey, we're so glad you're with us, Michelle. Just before we get going, I'm going to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. What we do every morning, Michelle, is we just all come to the table. We try to bring one word just to be positive, and I start every single day on a positive note. And we've all overcome a lot of things in our lives, and that's why we bring it all to the table. But I know that you have excelled in a lot of things, but is there something quickly that you could kind of share with us that you kind of had to overcome at some point in your entire life that you could share with us before we get started?
Sure. First of all, I just want to say hi. I'm happy to be here. And thanks, Myra, for your patience, for waiting all this time and until I could get my schedule right. Went through a lot of change this year. So um, I, I think for me, it's probably overcoming fear and anxiety. And the anxiety came from a fear. For me, it was overcoming, and I say that lightly, but it's overcoming stuttering. A lot of times what you see in people on the outside is not exactly what's going on the inside. And I mean, for me, it started in high school where I really was trying to, I had a microphone in my face from when I was a little kid. And, I had always excelled in basketball at a very high level, right from the get go. And I just, I went on to be the National High School Player of the Year. And I remember I went with my parents to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to accept the National High School Player of the Year Naismith Award, which was a pretty big deal. And this was the first time that I had to go up on a stage and, give an acceptance speech of sorts. And again, I was a senior in high school and I had been interviewed a lot throughout high school and had a lot of notoriety. But when I went to do this acceptance speech, I literally, like, nothing came out. And I had been hiding the fact, I let basketball do my talking for me. So I was always in a position where, if, you could grab me for a quote or something after a game, I was live on television. I didn't have any time to really think about it, but I would somehow cope every single time I was interviewed. But this was sort of, there's no other distractions. I wasn't in a gym. I was, dressed up on a stage with my parents in the crowd. And I was trying to tell them that I loved them. And when I did that, I said, and I just couldn't even tell them that I said, I love you. And so it was just this ongoing thing. And I, throughout the years, I just really struggled, even to this day, I struggle with stuttering. And everybody, they wave their hand at me like, yeah, right. All you do, you speak for a living, you're a CEO, you're an entrepreneur, you're on these calls all day. There's no way. But I guess what I've learned to do is how to cope with it and how to try to get my anxiety to a certain level that I feel comfortable. I do a lot of self-talk with myself. And so, I don't know, I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to go into detail, Myra, and how long. I just, overcoming the fear and anxiety of stuttering for me has been a lifelong, it's been a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I was
sharing. Let's move into something that everybody's just dying to know. You talking about fear. Okay. You played for the most respected coach in the history of the game, Coach Pat Summitt. And I've always said that you two had a unique relationship because you were just an extension of her on the court, probably more so than anybody I've ever seen play that position. But tell just real quickly, if you can share with us maybe some fun or some highlights of your career as a college athlete, first off, and playing for the great Coach Pat Summitt, and maybe a few lessons you've learned for her.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, this is a funny story. When I first got to Tennessee, this is along the same lines of stuttering, by the way. When I first got to Tennessee, I was petrified. We were in our first team meeting, just got to campus. We were given a notebook about this thick. It basically says, this is who you are now. This is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to, how you're going to act. It was just like, kind of like being in the military. And I remember coming out of that meeting, one of the things that was said during the meeting was Pat saying to us, you will represent University of Tennessee. You will be asked to introduce yourself. You will be asked to speak. You will do anything that is asked of you to represent the program. This is what's being like a lady, it's like to be a Lady Vol, you're carrying on this tradition. And so all this stuff is all of a sudden you feel this anxiety and pressure to be this person that, and I was like, I just want to play basketball. I don't want all that. And so anyway, I scheduled a meeting, meet Pat out at the track. Probably 2 days later, I asked her for a meeting, and she meets me in between classes. We sit on the track bleachers. And I was just nervous, and I said, I have something I need to share with you. And, I think she thought I was going to say like I was pregnant or, like something really serious, like that something was really wrong. And I said, Pat, when we were in the team meeting the other day, you said, this and that, and this and that, and we have to speak. And I said, I have to tell you, I'm just going to come out and say it. I've stuttered my entire life, and that's not something that I'm comfortable with. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. And she looked at me like, is that why you called me out here to tell me that you're not going to speak on behalf of the program? And I said, yeah, I'm just telling you I'm not comfortable. And she goes, well, you're gonna have to get over that. And I was like, okay, but I can't. It's like a physical, and she didn't want to hear it. And, how she dealt with it with me was, she would make me speak at every function that I attended on behalf of the program. She'd say, let's see if anyone has to say anything. Michelle. And I was always the person that had to, start to speak. And so she didn't handle me with kid gloves, Myra. She was very tough on me. But yet when I asked her about speaking, and public speaking, she said, yeah, it's one of the hardest things I have to do. And I don't like it, but I do it. It's my job. And yeah, I get anxious. And so she, although she was tough on me, she was real with it as well. And I do give her a lot of credit for helping me to deal with my fears instead of run from them and hide from them.
Well, and, just very quickly before I move into a different segment, just kind of, I can't even imagine winning a national championship and being named the most valuable player. It just kind of share with us briefly a little bit about that moment in your life.
That's it's something that winning a national championship, becoming the MVP of that national championship, playing point guard for Pat Summitt. It still is surreal, even after all these years, and after everything I've been through with Pat, as a friend and a mentor and a coach. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of in my life. And it's just because of what it taught me and how much, how meaningful that relationship and the relationships of teammates, the relationships of us with the university, how proud, you end up being, having played for that university, for us, the University of Tennessee. And it's something that as I go into boardrooms and represent obviously myself now as a businesswoman and an entrepreneur, I'm very proud of the fact that I played at Tennessee and played for Pat and won a championship. It's very special. It's very powerful to walk into a room of, I call it a sea of men, that, where there's 100 men, there's one woman. And I'm that one woman, And with that being said, it's kind of because I played for a championship and I can talk sports, I can talk shop, and talk it very well and have the career that I have behind me. It neutralizes everything.
Yes, it does. And the thing, Michelle, just this is a very intriguing story to me on how you got into Sheiks, how that all happened. And you were an assistant coach at the University of South Carolina, and kind of kind of tell us how the idea came about and then transitioned into this unbelievable business that you have.
Well, I was wearing a pair of shorts that I fell in love with more for the technical aspects of, because I'm a big runner, and I bought Susan Walvius, who was the former head coach at University of South Carolina. She's my co-founder, and I bought her some shorts to try, and she made a different connection. She said, "I love the drape and the feel of this fabric against my skin. I'd love to have bed sheets made out of this stuff. I'd love to sleep in this fabric." And I looked at her and I said, "Let's do it. Let's figure out if it's ever been done before." And that was my and our aha moment as entrepreneurs. One of those things that you hear of every entrepreneurial story. It's like, how did you come up with that idea? We gave the idea to the International School of Business at South Carolina, which is very highly ranked in the world. They did the top-down research, business plan, feasibility study, and came back to us. And it was pretty obvious to us that we were going to stop coaching that year, because it was that compelling. This business plan was worthy of giving it a try. If we could get, people who are familiar with performance fabrics, if we could get them to understand the fabric, then why wouldn't you want to sleep in this fabric? And so that was our jumping off point. We resigned as coaches. I was Susan's assistant coach. We resigned as coaches. This was about 14 years ago, and never looked back since. It's been quite a journey.
Yes, it has. It has, Michelle. And your whole story to me is incredible, especially for our community, because we have a lot of people that are coaches in different aspects of their lives, but we have a lot of entrepreneurs on our call every single morning. So I just thought your whole story, and your story is still going and it's still awesome, that it would be a great fit for what we do and what we're about on the show. What I would like to do is open it up. Coach Palmer, if you maybe have something you would like to ask Michelle real quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Michelle, thank you so much for your time. And I was a high school coach. I was a head football coach in the state of Alabama, and pivoted as well into being an entrepreneur. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is, when you made that pivot, and whether somebody's a coach or not, they tend to make pivots in life to do something different. What did you have, and I'm sure you did, the you're crazy from the crowd around you, like the people you love, the people that cared about you, and like you're like going to make this pivot, and it's like, what are you doing? You've lost your mind. Could you talk on that just a second?
Yeah, I mean, especially because Susan her major was urban development. Mine was psychology. We both were basketball coaches and elite athletes. And we decided to resign from our coaching positions to get into the textile world of making bedding. And so it was the funniest part is Susan's parents, their reaction was, yeah, that's good, honey, but when are you going to get your next head coaching job? And a lot of people, for me, I was sort of primed to go as an assistant, to go into, for the SEC, to go into, smaller D1 head coaching job. And I walked away from that, and Susan walked away from her career as well. I mean, at that time, everyone thought we were crazy. People don't think we're crazy now. But you kind of have to weather that. If you believe in what you are doing, and there's if you believe in what you're doing, then you should just do it, because there's going to be all kinds of people, naysayers. I mean, for me, what I was the National High School Player of the Year, and it's like a punky little kid weighing 140 pounds coming out of Macungie/Allentown, Pennsylvania. How did they become, the best high school player in the nation? So I had been through that sort of naysaying as an athlete. So really, if people thought I was crazy, thought Susan and I were crazy, it was kind of like because of basketball and being an athlete, it was like, well, that's your opinion, and we're going to do it anyway.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks for your time on here, Michelle. Myra, and thanks for putting this together. You might want to go to some other questions. Thank you both.
We have, let's say, Michelle, you have time for maybe a couple of questions?
Yeah, I got all the time in the world.
Okay, let's see. Somebody want to ask a question? Just raise your hand up, hit your little hand emoji, and we'll let you do it. Because I know we got some Lady Vol fans on here too. Okay, Ronnie, we can unmute Ronnie.
Good morning, Michelle.
Hi, Ronnie.
Thank you so much for being with us today. I got two questions that are not anywhere related. The first one, tell us a little bit about your family. I mean, you have progressed very well on your own, but tell me what kind of support you got out of your family.
Really great question. My mom and dad, I grew up very loving family in Allentown, Pennsylvania. My dad was a football player at the University of Maryland, and my mom was a cheerleader. I definitely did not get the mom side at all. I got the sort of the dad side, although my mom, she doesn't like ever when I say that. But
more right?
Yeah, my brother, Steve, I had an older brother who I give a lot of credit to for making me into the athlete, just by sheer just beating me up every single day physically on the basketball court and whatever else we played. We were very competitive. He was 2 years older than I was. And my sister was very supportive as well. She actually lives here in Knoxville now, which is where I live now. You know, I'm fortunate. I played with lots of teammates that didn't have a supportive family, didn't have a mother, didn't have a father. You know, was brought up by their grandmother. I was always extremely grateful and humble when it came to understanding the significance of having parents and a brother and a sister who were so supportive of me when I was going through a lot of stardom. You know, definitely something that, you know, but in a way too, every time, like my father was the kind of person who I'd come home, score 40 points in high school. And, you know, I was feeling pretty good about myself, although I always was extremely humble. My dad would say, yeah, but you missed 2 free throws.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that always sort of got to me, and it got under my skin. It really made me become a perfectionist. But I, you know, those are the kind of things. And my mom was the very nurturing type. You know, she would want to, you know, say, oh, honey, meaning my dad, you know, stop being so hard on her. And so I had a balance growing up, which I think is an interesting way to be brought up. I wasn't told by my family how good I was. They just kind of, they understood the fact that that was just me. And I was, because I didn't want, you know, I'd be in the paper or something like that. And I wouldn't even read it. I wouldn't want to read it. So there was a shyness about me as well, but I had a supportive family. So I'm very blessed by that.
Also, second question real quick. One thing, when you hear the word basketball, first question that comes to so many people's minds is, well, how tall are you?
Well, the good thing is, or the funny thing is, I always lied about my height because I would argue that I'm 5'9", but with shoes on, I'm 5'10", and maybe even a little bit over 5'10", but because who doesn't play basketball without shoes on? So I would always say that I was 5'10", and then I'd get measured, and you know, it'd be like, Michelle, you're barely 5'9". And I said, no, I'm 5'10". So I I've still to this day convinced myself, even on my driver's license, and I'm 5'10".
Well, I'm
Hey.
proud. Thank you again for being with us today.
Okay, Michelle, let's go one more. I know we probably have the biggest Lady Vol fan ever that's a part of our community. Madeline, if we can unmute her, I got a message that she wanted to ask Michelle a question. So go ahead, Madeline.
Hey, Michelle, this is Madeline. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Hi, Madeline. Very nice to hear your voice.
I've been a great fan of Pat Summit and the Tennessee Lady Vols for so long. And I read the book, Reach for the Summit, which you were in. And I've just read so much about you and being a point guard. You were so great. And I just wondered, I read how Pat pushed you sometimes to almost to the point where you thought it was just too much. And I wonder how that shaped your life after basketball.
Yeah, that's a great question, because first of all, I may have been in a few of Pat's books, but I was not the happy chapters. I will say that. And I know that. I was interviewed. I'm doing the Pedal for Alzheimer's event this year, Myra, and I was interviewed by Jimmy Himes, and he asked me the other day about who was Pat harder on, Kelly Jolly or you? And I said, oh, there's no question that it's me, because I did everything opposite of what I was supposed to do. And I would buck her system all the time. And I said, Kelly was kind of a goody two shoes. She could do no wrong. She did no wrong. If Pat said draw a square, she'd draw a square, which I would draw a circle. So I was a little bit of a stubborn point guard, and Kelly was this angel of a point guard. And I said, but that's why she's the head coach at University of Tennessee, and I'm the CEO and entrepreneur. So, but she was very tough on me, and as I say, rightfully so. But I also was tough on myself. So that's where we kind of clashed. And you heard me say earlier about the perfectionism in me really came from within. It was instilled in me probably from my father. And so I didn't necessarily, what I was bucking with Pat was really, you didn't have to get on me. You definitely didn't have to get on me about work ethic. She was always very much, you can throw a chest pass, you can throw a bounce pass, and I wanted to throw a behind the back pass because it was more fun. You know, it was more entertaining. It was more entertaining for me. And I had a flavor and a flair. And as one coach put it,
Cinderella.
I was more 31 flavors, and like Pat wanted me to be, vanilla, and I could never do that. And so, I guess how it shaped me is I became an entrepreneur, and I just have thick skin. I mean, I was pushed so hard by the best coach that's ever coached the game. And I don't know, things happen every day as an entrepreneur. People think you're crazy. You go to raise capital, they say no. So a door closes, another one opens, and I've been as an entrepreneur, I've been like on the Amazing Race. You go to a place and you get a clue and you say, okay, now where do I go? And you go there, and there's a resilience and a kind of, persistence and perseverance, I should say, that I think I learned because Pat always checked and balanced me as a player, and she was so hard on me. Trust me, I wanted to quit like 5 different times. It was not good. But I didn't. You may want to, but you don't, because it's not, some people do it, and that's fine. And I understand it because I've been there. But I happen to, kind of stick to it and understand that she was just trying to help me. And she did say that. To her defense, she always said to me, I am just trying to help you. Nothing's going to be given to you out in the real world. So why should I give you what you want? Why don't you do what I want? and everything will be fine.
Yeah. Well, that's unbelievable. And I have just enjoyed hearing some more stories. But I did want to let everyone know that your real name is Spinderella, and she
Yes.
got that name because she kind of has a patent on that move. So she is Spinderella. But listen, Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time today. And this has been very, very powerful for all of us in a lot of different ways. So really means a lot. Thank you so much. And Brent, I'm gonna throw it right back to you, buddy.
Well, I can't thank Michelle enough. And Michelle, me and Myra's known each other for years, and I've heard through her about you, and I know how much she loves you, and I can see why now. It's amazing. And thank you for taking several minutes and just sharing your heart with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you all very much.
Have a great day.
Love you
Bye,
guys. Have a
guys.
great day. Grateful for you. Happy
Thanks for
Thursday.
being on today. See y'all tomorrow. Don't forget to bring your word tomorrow.
Thank you.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Absolutely
Good to listen to
amazing.
you.
Tomorrow.
Testimony.
Thank you, Michelle.
Have a great day.
Have a
Love you
blessed
guys.
day. Coach
Cinderella.
Myra,
For you.
Michelle, come on and
Thank
join
you
us
so much.
today.
Hey, you're welcome. My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks, guys. See y'all tomorrow. Don't forget the word. You got to bring your word tomorrow.
That's
What's
right.
your word?
Word.
All right. Bye, guys. Love y'all.